Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Blueprints. My name is Chad Jennings. I'm the global head of customer voice and product experience here at IBM Software. And today I am delighted to welcome André Grecchi,
Yes, that's right.
excellent, who's the head of IT for AXA Brazil. And so we're going to walk you through some of the API management that AXA does at pretty massive scale.
Hello, Chad. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to share a little story for the AXA Brazil. So I'm André. I'm head of IT, architecture and infrastructure here in AXA Brazil. I've been here for the last 8 years, and I've been working with IT more than 20 years. So it's a long journey. About the AXA, it's a French company. It's present in almost 60 countries. More than 150 employees distributed of the globe. So it's a very big company, and we are in the top of the biggest insurance in the globe. So just to give you some additional information regarding the products, we will use to work with the B2B products in Brazil and the B2C.
So I knew AXA before you and I met, but I didn't know AXA was that big. 150,000 employees. That's same size roughly as Google, a little bit smaller than IBM, but like we're still talking like massive, massive companies here. So Andre, can you translate the slogan that's on the image behind you?
It means together each step. We are together in AXA Brazil, walking forward and moving forward. Together, everybody each step of the AXA Brazil. So it's something like that. I don't know. It's hard to translate, but it means
Oh,
something like that.
it translates to English pretty well. And I think the use case that we're going to talk about later, like not only is that an internal thing where everybody's moving together to help AXA be a better company to provide to customers, but you're also walking in step with your customers, particularly in times when they really need some help. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. Andre, can you talk a little bit about AXA has, B2B and B2C products, and maybe not everybody who's watching understands insurance very well. So can you just take, 30 seconds on each and like give us a quick understanding of what AXA provides in those two routes?
Yes, yeah, we used to say that the AXA Brazil covers since the small risk until the biggest one. So when you're looking for a B2B perspective, we are saying, for example, products for the fleet, auto fleet, casualty, property, commercial line, aviation, ships, and something like that. So we'll cover since a small commercial property until a flight or aviation,
Okay.
a plane, So, and on the other hand, for the B2C perspective, we are connect with the retailers, and you offer micro insurances like warranty, protect the bag coverages in Latin America. It's not uncommon to walking on the street and someone stole your bag, so you have a coverage for it, or even for your mobile. If you go to the retailer and you purchase a refrigerator, for example, you have the extended warranty covered by the ARC as well.
So Andre, like that scope is pretty massive, right? Everything from small things like a handbag to huge things like an airplane or a flight or a ship
Mhm.
and everything in between. And, that's a complex scope of insurance products. And Andre's actually brought a diagram to help, uncover a little bit about how AXA, you know, divides all of these different insurance products. So we'll go ahead and put that one up on the screen here. And Andre, can you walk us through a little bit of this? Like in the rest of the interview, we'll dive into just one of these, but can you walk us through a little bit about how this ecosystem of insurance works?
Yes, Chad. This is aligned with our IT strategy. So, and the transformation strategy. So, you believe that you have a digital ecosystem with multiple systems, and the key of success for that it's the connectivity between all these all this ecosystem in a fast way, in a more pluggable way. So when you're looking for the AXA Brazil strategy, we are focused on delivery solutions for the brokers, for our customers, for internal perspective faster, enable multiple connections, providing new solutions, align with drive com data and AI strategies, and digitalization of the entire flows and the entire processes. The idea is provide the capabilities of for the customer to share his information with the other companies. So once he is on the moment to take a decision to hire the insurance A or B or C, he receive a many or much more proposal and take the decision based on the best option for his perspectives. So that's the idea, the insurance. Behind that, it means that the insurance has need to have the capability to interact with the regulators, interact with the other insurance companies, and provide this spread of information between the insurances ecosystem. This means many APIs connected between the systems, a very good data structure to provide and collect and interact with this data, and to and capacity to make the better proposal that the customer waiting to receive it to gain, for example, the policy issues.
Let's boil that down just a little bit. So we'll pretend I'm an insurance customer. You're an insurance provider. And what you just described is, I go to a website and I'm interested in open insurance. And so I want bids from a whole bunch of different insurance providers in that moment. It puts a large technical onus on the insurance provider to be able to like take information from the customer and then provide a quote really fast. Because, if your quote comes 32 seconds after your competitor does, then the person's already made their choice. So, to answer some of those technical requirements that use case of open insurance puts on you, can you describe what the design principles were for your system?
Yes, sure. So when you think the solution, the entire integration solution from IBM, the web methods, we are looking for someone easy to connect with the other system, something robust to support all the volume, all the integrations of AXA Brazil, and some solution capable to dealing with the data and with the possible to be easier to develop new solutions. Thinking about that, we'll design technology architecture that following the market standards. I mean APIs, uh, file processes, file integrations, guarantee the best standards in terms of development, security, and governance. Another important thing when you're looking for the AXA use case in terms of standards and architecture, it was the implementation of the COE, which a Center of Excellence of Integration with COI, that who give us a very robust structure in terms of people and governance to support this development and to support the cycle of life of the and maturity of the platform. So we start from the scratch with the web methods implementation, works in silos with different developers spread on the squads. And once you decide to put everybody together inside of the same the same structure with you called of a COI, the things starts to change in a better way. So I consider an important change moment for us when we decided to implement the COI of integration for AXA Brazil.
And the COI is the COE, the Center of Excellence.
Exactly, the COE.
Yep. So you brought up an interesting thing. So the first four things you talked about were all technical things, right? From technology, scalability, working with a partner, governance, operating model, et cetera. And then the next category of thing was like, and you had to introduce a human change as well with this center of excellence. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit. but I think it's really interesting that your design principles include technical elements as well as a cultural one. Let's go and dive into the technical element. Let's put the architecture up on the screen and go ahead and walk through it for the viewers. We covered the design principles. Can you walk us through the architecture for that open insurance use case that you talked about? And then as you're doing it, please also explain like the underlying infrastructure, like what bare metal is this all running on? So here, there's the architecture diagram. Please walk us through.
Yes, yeah. So basically, we have this is a very high level representative of the digital ecosystem for AXA Brazil. So on the left, you have the possibility of distribution channels. I mean, the portal of AXA Brazil as a AXA digital platform here. Partnership, you consider the retailers, you have the marketplaces, integration of the journals of third partners, markets and providers and partners. We have MGA and the broker storage. So basically, we have different distribution channels coming through to the system of AXA. You saw you see here all the components and all the square represent some kind of services for AXA Brazil. And you have a big layer of data because we receive this kind of information from the left side. In the end of this journey, you have the APIs connecting with the third partners or the providers like Uber and the other kinds of services providers that support your customer journeys. Just to give it some example, when you have a issue with your car and suddenly your car is stopping on the road, you stop on the side of the road, you need some support to interact with us, for example, by telephone or chat over the message. We receive this information, you guarantee that the chat is a customer from AXA, you validate this information on our databases to guarantee that you have the a valid policies to support you with the right coverage, and in case if everything is all set, it's good, we'll have some integration with the third partners like Uber to send you a voucher to get the Uber and go back for your home, while the truck is gonna save your car. So these processes and this journey, it's only possible doing the APIs and the integrations platform like web methods and the API management that you have in place from IBM.
So you've got a problem, like maybe it's an accident, everybody's okay, but the car is wrecked or your car just stops. You're on the side of the road and you chat to your insurance provider, which is AXA. And so like that request obviously comes through the API, you validate the policy, which is that data, the one source data box, I think. When you first told me about this, it kind of blew me away. It's a really wonderful example of how the API integrations and you're using web methods for that, provides a real value, right? Because there I am, I'm on the side of the road, but the car is wrecked. My two kids are in the back seat, and like we need to get the car towed and we need to get home. You can expedite all of that through the APIs to these various technical partners.
Exactly. Even they requested, for example, for the Uber, and essentially the message exchange. So all the channels, all the communication between the customers and the partners that supports this journey, it's coming through over the APIs and the other kinds of integration. So at the middle of this journey and this entire experience for our customers, we have a huge platform, a technology platform responsible for the integrations and for the coordination of these workflows.
Thanks for walking us through the architecture and particularly with that use case, accident side of the road, because it really informs, how all of those blocks in your architecture provide capabilities to your customers, particularly in times of extreme need. So I appreciated that and that call it that, the use case of calling the Uber really helped lock in my brain. Let's transition a little bit now. And like clearly you've built quite an impressive array of technologies into this. What did you learn along the way?
Oh, We learn.
Just a couple things.
Yeah, yeah, that's many things to share, but I think I used to say that the technology it's a little similar between there, a bunch of that, but it's similar with some different capabilities or different functions. But if I have to mention only the most important lessons learned for us, it was how you put everybody to work together. So I mean the culture, the people working together. So I would like to remember and to go back of the core implementation, the center of excellence of integration implementation, because until you have this implementation, until you have this structure, you used to work in silos on an inefficiency way with limited governance and with a lot of problems because we have the developer at the end on a specific demand developing some different and maybe sometimes not aligning with the whole strategy. So
So let
that
me ask you a quick question. So the Center of Excellence, was that a new team you stood up, or was that like representatives from like development, product, and customer interactions to come together to form a committee? Like what was actually the COE?
is the both because we used to have the developers spread on the squads, but we do not have the structure with like a architect, a dedicated architect to do that with a dedicated leader. So we will make the both. You hire. You bring for the board some new leader, some new architects, some new capabilities, and bring all the developers that are already in the AXA. So you put everybody together with the right governance, with the right in the new governance. You have some governance tools like Jira to orchestrate all this workforce, and you put everybody under the same umbrellas, work with the right proposal, aligning with the right strategy, with the same governance. We put the rituals like the weeklies, the monthlies,
Yep, yep, yep.
the review codes, and so on. So nowadays we have a huge structure. You did a maturity assessment at the beginning of this journey, and you figure out that we was used to was on the level 1 of this maturity. Past 3 years, almost 3 years, you did a new one a few months ago, and we realized that we are on the 3 level. So we had we will still have some walking, some space to evolve, but we are much better right now that when you compare when we started this journey.
And according to the slogan behind you, you're going to do that walk, together with your teammates. You described a lot of stuff, like cultural stuff, even from like weekly, monthly meetings. How did you make sure not to burden your teams with a lot of process? How did you make sure that the Center of Excellence was contributing to development as opposed to being a tax?
I think there's a leadership capability on that, and the responsibility and the support of this leadership helps the technical guys to focus on the what is matter. In fact, to write better codes for the company. And I think the entire culture of a reuse, of a share experiences, lessons learned from the others, working together, all this environment and all this culture supports the evolution of his in the entire structure, but by the way, the people, because nowadays we had juniors developers getting the team with the possibility to learn from the experienced guys, and you create an entire ecosystem that supports and evolve everybody together. So I think it's the fact that put everybody in the same boat, support and help us to evolve as a team and as a company.
Gotcha. I have one more question about lessons learned. It has to do with your on-prem implementation. Can you tell me a little bit about like why you're focused, like all of that, call it cultural development and technical development in an on-prem system as opposed to in the cloud?
Nowadays we have a huge infrastructure of because we will have the two components, two products from IBM, the web methods and the API management, and that to support all the environments like development environments, test environments, production environments. There are many servers to support it. The most important thing here is that our infrastructure works. We have the right architecture, we have the right capacity in terms of system and infrastructure, and everything is working. Just to give some number, these years you have to conclude with more than 40 millions of transactions in these environments with availability of almost 490. So it's a bunch of transactions with a very good availability. We have a response time very high to support the incidents and the bugs and the new developments. So more than the
Probably
servers.
means very low response time, right?
Yes, very low response time, but again, this is a benefit and a aware of a core implementation as well, because it used to be a little different in the past, but nowadays it's very good. So looking forward, we are in terms of infrastructure and the platform, we are looking for the modernization. We try to migrate the entire platform for a more modern architecture like microservices, and as well we are looking for the new solutions from IBM, for example the hybrid platform is on SaaS. So should be a roadmap for the next year for sure.
So, Andre, one thing that is relevant to this architecture is like, what's the underlying infrastructure that you're implemented on? So, go ahead and describe, like, it's an on-prem installation. Can you tell us a little bit about what being on-prem is able to deliver for your technology and, like, ultimately in like performance that's, visible to your customers?
Yeah, I think it's important for AXA. It's the three things. So basically, the SLA to support the entire platform. So now you have the architects, the technical guys inside of the company. So the time to respond to the SLA, it's a very good. The performance as well. Nowadays we had a very good hardware to support all the entire platforms, and the performances it's working properly what we expect. And the last one, it's the entire cost of the solution. So basically now I can put a huge volume on this infrastructure and pay by licensing purpose for processor. If I compare with the cloud's model, probably is gonna pay by transaction. And if I put a huge volume on this platform, the cost should be for sure much higher that I have today. So it's
Gotcha.
work for us and worth it.
Gotcha. So SLA, response time, and then price performance makes
Right.
total sense. So, Andre, what's next for your team and this platform?
The web methods, before they call it the web methods, it starts as a platform implementation, then become a COE, a core of integration. And for the future, we are looking how become a hyper automation platform, or how become a hyper automation instructor. So with the new solutions like AI, with new solutions like integrations, even the IBM solutions of hybrid models to provide the AI as the developer and something like that. I believe that this structure and all the lessons learned from the past right now will have the capability to expand the purpose of this structure and to become a hyper automation team, and with different solutions to provide the different options for the company, provide the different ways of integrations, and moving forward the entire company.
Very good. Hyperautomation makes it, to be honest, it makes a ton of sense, especially given like the scope of the work that you've already done. I think it'll be very interesting to come back in 6, 12 months and see what you've been able to do in that hyperautomation space. But André Grecchi, thank you very much for telling us AXA Brazil's story. Thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate, Chad. Thank you.